everyone out there. This is your host, Jeff Stebbins of the Pitch Pod, coming at you, episode 2. I apologize, my co host, the number 2 man, our expert, is out sick for the week, Joe Janner. He is going to be fine, but he's just getting over a little bit of a bug he picked up. So fear not. I totally expect him to make a triumphant return next week on the pod. And I was able to kind of pick his brain a little bit and get his predictions. So I'll be filling you in on the conversation Joe and I had previously about the upcoming match, Manchester City, Liverpool. It's going to be exciting. I know we're both going to sit down and watch it and kind of take notes as it's going to be quite the match. We also kind of briefly had the opportunity to recap last week's match. We had Arsenal v Liverpool, and I actually predicted that score-wise as well with the 3-2 victory of Arsenal. So puts me above the rankings. At this point, it's 4-0 with the scoring system that both Joe and myself have been following. So I'm in a pretty strong lead, but try not to get too confident as the following games are playing out. I know he was especially impressed with Jesus of Arsenal and a specific play where he was very aggressive with his dribbling and took it towards the opponent's box and made a last-minute dish to a teammate. I also thought that was a pretty substantial play of the game. However, to me, the player of the match was Martinelli. When I watched that game, he was the glue of the offense. He was always in the center, making dishes, making passes, always with his head up on a swivel. So the player I was most impressed with out of Arsenal that match was Martinelli. And I kind of have a newfound respect for what he does and how he contributes to Arsenal. Bringing us to the upcoming match, Man City v Liverpool. Man City, as you know, is number 2 in the Premier League. So they're a team to be reckoned with for sure. And they're led by Haaland, who has 15 goals at this point. I took some time out to ask Joe what his thoughts were about Haaland. He's only 22 years old, but he has some physical attributes that are allowing him to pretty much dominate this Premier League this season. He's 6'6", great awareness on the field, and I just wanted to ask Joe, is this guy the real deal, or is it too early to tell, being that he's only 22 years old? So far, he's racking up a lot of goals, but are they against inferior opponents, like Nottingham, for example? Right, Joe is pretty assertive that he is the real deal. He is the man of the league, and I agree with him. When I see the awareness, right, not just the physical dominance, but the awareness that Haaland has on when to make the runs, always to be at the back post, looking to pick up any kind of trash that's left out. Always being ready for crosses, using his height to get up and get ahead on the ball. It seems like the guy can score numerous ways and knows where to be on the field. He also knows how to dish off to teammates. The maturity that I've seen out of him at this point, 22 years old and kind of getting this much attention, I am very impressed so far. So I agree with Joe. I think he's the real deal, and I think we're going to see some really exciting things out of him in the future. I think this guy's going to be around a while and continue to make just an amazing impact on the game of soccer. That being said, it's not just one man. Man City has 2 other guys in the mix. You have Phil, who has 6 goals. You have Kevin, 9 assists, leading the league in assists. Granted, most of those are to Haaland, but still, you have other people contributing. So Man City, yes, they have their star, their goal scorer, but at the same time, we have some other guys that are contributing to their success as their number 2 in the league and potentially could be taking over in the near future. I got Joe's prediction for this upcoming match. Again, I know he wished he could be here, and I do expect him to return fully next week. But his predictions were he's pretty adamant that Liverpool is the draw machine. They're uh, just getting draws and ties all over the place this season. And so he's saying that it's going to be a Man City v Liverpool draw 2-2. I agreed with him. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring game. I think it's going to be fairly close. Liverpool, yes, they're not the same team that they were last year, but coming off this Arsenal game, they showed that they still have some fight in them and they're still a quality team. They possess the ball the majority of the time. My big thing with Liverpool is it doesn't look like they're finishing in the way that they should. They had some shots and some shots on goal, but not nearly the kind of shots and shots on goal that Arsenal is having. So that's my big concern with them is, putting the ball in the back of the net. I think defensively they're average, which with a team like Man City, who's going to be just so offensively aggressive and ready to go from the very get go, I can see that being a problem. Personally, if I was the coach, I would be more defensive minded against Man City and drop a guy or two back that I normally wouldn't. That's just me personally. Joe might feel different about that. I didn't get a chance to really ask him about that, but yeah, I would start out being pretty conservative if I were Liverpool because their offense just hasn't been there. That's where I would come from if I was coaching. So to get to my pick for the week, I gave the nod to Man City due to the reasons I just listed. 2-1. I think that they're going to pull this one off and remain second in the Premier League. And hopefully Liverpool gets to a point where they're starting to turn things around and find that mentality that they had last season. But again, I'm going 2-1 in this upcoming match. And Joe and I would also like to stress that this pod, it's about informing newcomers to the game of soccer about the Premier League and kind of what we see, our perspectives, our analysis, and predictions. If you happen to live in a state who is recently been approved to gamble, we have a saying around here at the Pitch Pod: "Your money, your problem." Right? So take what we say with a grain of salt. We both come from a background with lots of playing experience and coaching experience, and still love the game. We're passionate about it, and that's what we're here trying to give you our take, our perspectives. But as I previously stated, your money, your problem. So whatever decisions you make, you need to own those, and we're not giving any formal advice. We're just telling you what we think at the Pitch Pod here every week. And hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Again, hopefully next week we're going to have a little video component to this, but we're wishing Joe the best as he is recovering from a virus of some sort. That's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining the Pitch Pod. As always, we're going to see you next week and keep pitching out there.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.